and welcome back to JavaScript Playground. In this video, we will learn how to work with events using jQuery. We can use the event name followed by parenthesis. So this is the syntax to handle events on selected HTML element or elements. So $selector, so this will select HTML elements, dot event name and parenthesis. So for example, you wanted to add a click event, so this will be click followed by parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis you pass your event handler function. So let's try an example to understand it better. So over here we've got this on click on this button add. So let's try changing it to jQuery. So btn add. So this is a selected element and this is being selected by get element by ID. So let's convert it to jQuery. So $, and to select it we need to add ID also because this is an ID. Now this add event listener wouldn't work because it's not defined inside jQuery, but what is defined is this click function. So this click function will handle your click events on this selected HTML element. And to trigger a function on this click, you can simply pass it here. Say create to do item at backend. So let's pass it here. Now we don't need this add event listener property. So let's remove this, let's save it, and coming back. So let's try adding a new item. Let's say buy apples. Let's hit this button. And nothing happens. Let's see why. So it's giving an error list dot append child is not a function. So we're selecting list using jQuery, and inside this function we're calling append child. So this append child wouldn't work. So we can use the jQuery version of it, which is just append. Let's save it and let's try again. Let's say buy bananas. So as you can see, total item count increased by 1. And if we come down at the bottom, we've got this buy bananas. Let's try one more thing. Let's say buy pens. Let's click this button. And as you can see, total items increased by 1 more. And at the end, we have another to-do item. All right. Similarly, to add multiple events, we can use another method called on. So as you can see here, this input box has 2 different events, input and key up. So what we can do is input box dot on. Now this method is provided by jQuery. So you will have to select this input box using jQuery. So coming up here, this document.get element by ID will go away and this will be hash. Now unlike click, you wouldn't just pass a function. So to pass multiple functions, you would pass an object here, and this object will have some key value pairs. So the key will be event name, and the value will be the function that needs to get triggered when that event is triggered. So let's give it a try. So first one is input. So input colon, and this is the function. So let's get it from here and let's paste it here. Again, comma, because we're working inside an object. So let's add this key up as well. Let's get this function. Let's put it here. Let's save it and coming back. Let's inspect just so that if we get any errors. So when I write, everything's working fine. So let's just try printing it in the console. So e.target.value. So as you can see, the event is getting triggered properly. Similarly, when we hit this enter key, which is 13, this function is getting called. So let's give that also a try. So when I hit enter, total item count increased by 1 and the item was added at the end. So even our key up event is working fine. All right, so let's refactor our code a bit. So this button add, it's just being used twice. So first we're just creating a variable and then we are simply using it. So it doesn't make sense to create a variable just for this. So what you can do is get rid of this variable, and instead of button add, you can simply select your element using jQuery and chain it with this click method, and it should work fine. So let's give it a try. Let's say new apple. Let's hit add list item. So as you can see, total item increased by 1 and a new item added at the bottom. Now let's try to see why this new apple is not going away. Okay, so when this function is called, it sends a call to the backend, it adds the element to the list, and after that it increases the count of to-do count by 1, and after that it calls this method clear input data. So now the problem here is you're selecting elements using jQuery. So when you're working with jQuery, you cannot simply do .value is equal to something. So to get value of an input element, you can call another function called val, and you can pass empty over here. So if you did not pass anything, it will return the current value of the input element. But when you pass a value, it updates your input element, just like we were doing with a CSS method. So let's try again. Let's say new banana. And as you can see, total item increased, the input box is cleaned, and the new item is added. So which is working perfectly cool. And that's a wrap for today.